The First World War, despite its horrific toll, failed to deliver lasting peace. The Treaty of Versailles, meant to ensure stability, instead sowed the seeds of resentment and future conflict. Germany, burdened by crippling reparations and territorial losses, became fertile ground for extremist ideologies. The rise of Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party in Germany was a significant factor leading up to the war. Hitler's ideology, a toxic blend of nationalism, militarism, and anti-Semitism, resonated with a population grappling with economic hardship and national humiliation. Meanwhile, in Italy, Benito Mussolini's fascist regime similarly glorified military strength and territorial expansion. The League of Nations, conceived as a platform for international cooperation and conflict resolution, proved ineffective in the face of growing aggression. Its inability to enforce collective security emboldened expansionist powers like Germany, Italy, and Japan. On September 1, 1939, Hitler's armies invaded Poland, shattering the fragile peace and plunging the world into another global conflict. Germany's invasion of Poland marked the beginning of World War II. Employing their revolutionary blitzkrieg tactics, a combination of rapid armored advances and overwhelming air power, German forces swiftly overran Poland, leaving the world stunned by the speed and ferocity of the attack. France and Great Britain, bound by treaties to defend Poland, declared war on Germany. However, the initial months of the war were characterized by a period of relative inactivity on the Western Front, known as the Phony War. This deceptive lull ended abruptly in April 1940, when Hitler unleashed his forces in a surprise offensive against Denmark and Norway, quickly conquering both nations. On May 10, 1940, the German war machine turned its attention to Western Europe. The Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg were swiftly overrun, their defenses overwhelmed by the sheer might of the German blitzkrieg. France, once considered the premier military power in Europe, faced the full brunt of the German onslaught. The German invasion of France unfolded with stunning speed and precision. Bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line, German forces poured through the Ardennes forest, a region deemed impassable by French military planners. Within weeks, German troops reached the English Channel, effectively cutting off and encircling Allied forces in Belgium and northern France. The evacuation of Dunkirk, a desperate operation that saw the rescue of over 330,000 British and French troops from the beaches of France, marked a turning point in the war's early stages. Despite the loss of equipment and the psychological blow of defeat, the successful evacuation provided a much-needed morale boost for Britain and preserved a vital core of fighting men. On June 14, 1940, German troops entered Paris, the City of Lights, falling into the hands of the Nazis. The French government, demoralized and divided, surrendered on June 22, 1940. France was divided into German-occupied territory in the north and a collaborationist regime in the south, led by Marshal Philippe Pétain. With the fall of France, Great Britain stood alone against the Nazi war machine. Prime Minister Winston Churchill, a staunch opponent of appeasement and a beacon of defiance in the face of adversity, rallied the British people to resist Nazi aggression. The Battle of Britain, an epic air campaign waged over the skies of southern England, became a pivotal moment in the war. From July to October 1940, the Luftwaffe, Germany's formidable air force, relentlessly bombed British cities and airfields, aiming to cripple Britain's defenses and pave the way for a seaborne invasion. The Royal Air Force, though outnumbered, fought back with extraordinary courage and skill. Aided by the newly developed radar technology and the bravery of pilots from across the Commonwealth, the RAF inflicted heavy losses on the Luftwaffe, ultimately forcing Hitler to postpone his invasion plans indefinitely. Section 5. A Day of Infamy, Pearl Harbor and the Global War. While the war raged in Europe, Japan, driven by imperial ambitions and seeking to secure resources in Asia, launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941. The attack, a devastating blow to the U.S. Pacific Fleet, propelled the United States into World War II. The following day, December 8, 1941, the United States declared war on Japan, officially entering the global conflict. Germany and Italy, bound by the Axis Pact with Japan, declared war on the United States on December 11, 1941, expanding the war into a truly global conflict. The United States' entry into the war proved to be a turning point. Possessing vast industrial might and immense manpower, the United States' involvement shifted the balance of power, providing much-needed resources and manpower to the Allied cause. While the war raged in the West and the Pacific, the Eastern Front witnessed a clash of titans between Germany and the Soviet Union. Hitler's invasion of the Soviet Union in June 1941, codenamed Operation Barbarossa, marked the beginning of a brutal and costly campaign that would ultimately decide the fate of the war in Europe. The German army, initially successful, faced fierce resistance from the Red Army and the harsh Russian winter. The Battle of Moscow, a grueling 5-month struggle fought in sub-zero temperatures, marked the first major German defeat of the war and shattered the myth of German invincibility. The Eastern Front became a theater of unparalleled brutality and human suffering. The Siege of Leningrad, lasting for nearly 900 days, saw over 1 million civilians perish from starvation and disease. The Battle of Stalingrad, a brutal 6-month battle fought in the ruins of a devastated city, became a turning point in the war, resulting in the encirclement and destruction of the German Sixth Army. By 1944, the tide of the war had begun to turn decisively in favor of the Allies. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces, under the supreme command of General Dwight D. Eisenhower, launched Operation Overlord, the largest amphibious invasion in history, on the beaches of Normandy, France. D-Day marked the beginning of the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. After establishing a foothold in Normandy, Allied forces supported by French resistance fighters gradually pushed eastward, liberating Paris in August 1944 and advancing towards the German border. The Allied advance was met with fierce German resistance, culminating in the Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's last major offensive in the West. Despite initial setbacks, Allied forces, bolstered by reinforcements and air superiority, ultimately prevailed, pushing the Germans back and setting the stage for the final assault on Germany. In the Pacific, the war took on a different character, characterized by vast distances, challenging terrain, and brutal island-hopping campaigns. The United States, under the leadership of Admiral Chester Nimitz and General Douglas MacArthur, gradually pushed back the Japanese, securing key victories at Midway, Guadalcanal, and Iwo Jima. The Pacific War was marked by ferocious fighting and heavy casualties on both sides. Japanese soldiers, indoctrinated with a code of Bushido that emphasized loyalty and self-sacrifice, fought with fanatical determination, often refusing to surrender even in the face of certain defeat. In a desperate attempt to break the Japanese will and bring a swift end to the war, the United States, under President Harry S. Truman, made the fateful decision to use atomic bombs against Japan. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, instantly killing tens of thousands of people. 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, resulting in further devastation and loss of life. Faced with the overwhelming destructive power of these new weapons and the Soviet Union's declaration of war, Japan announced its surrender on August 15, 1945, bringing World War II to an end. World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history, left an indelible mark on the world, reshaping the geopolitical landscape and ushering in a new era. The war resulted in an estimated 40 to 85 million fatalities, with civilians bearing the brunt of the casualties. The war led to the decline of European powers and the emergence of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers, setting the stage for the Cold War. The horrors of the Holocaust, the systematic genocide of 6 million Jews by the Nazi regime, shocked the world and led to the creation of the United Nations, founded on the principles of maintaining international peace and security. The war also had a profound impact on technology, science, and medicine. The development of radar, jet engines, and penicillin revolutionized warfare, transportation, and healthcare. The war also spurred advancements in computing, rocketry, and nuclear technology. World War II serves as a stark reminder of the human capacity for both good and evil. It stands as a testament to the courage, resilience, and sacrifice of millions who fought for freedom and justice. As we remember the sacrifices of past generations, we must strive to learn from the mistakes of history and work towards a more peaceful and just world for all.